So Sergey Kovalev defeats Cedric Agnew with a 7th round KO. Agnew came to fight. He was a very game challenger. He was very tough. He came in the fight, I mentioned in my pre-fight video, he came into the fight seeming very confident and very calm and not intimidated at all. And that's the way that he fought, at least for the first couple rounds. He came out as a southpaw. In the footage I'd seen of Agnew, because there was very little footage available of him online, in the footage I'd seen of him, he was actually orthodox. But apparently he's primarily a southpaw, and he boxed southpaw for this entire fight. And he came out with a very high held guard, and not a lot of Kovalev's punches were getting through in the early rounds. Getting through clean, I mean. Until a left hook, I believe, which was at the end of the second. Up until that point, the shots weren't really getting through clean. And even after that, Agnew got up from the left hook. It was right at the end of the round. I believe it was end of the second round, right at the end of the round. So he was basically saved by the bell. He was hurt, but he wasn't out of it. And he came out in the next round looking to do what he'd done in the first 2 rounds, Agnew that is, which was basically cover up Joshua Clottey style and wait for Kovalev to throw his shots and then counter with sharp, fast counters. And he did have some success. You did see Kovalev get hit more in this fight than we've seen him hit in recent fights. He was getting hit with clean, sharp counters in there. Nothing that really bothered him. He seemed to take the punches fine. He was okay, but he was getting hit with some clean counters in there. I don't think that's necessarily a damning indictment on Kovalev's defense. I think Kovalev's defense was, decent enough. I just think we have to give credit to Agnew for being able to, stay in there, absorb what Kovalev was throwing at him, because the shots were hitting him on the arms and the gloves and the top of the head and whatnot. And he was able to absorb them shots and come back with fast, hard counters. So you have to give Agnew credit for that, because a lot of guys wouldn't be able to stand in there, take them shots, and then fire back. But Agnew was able to do it. So yeah, Agnew was a game challenger. He lost every round though. Let's not get it confused. He lost every single round. He was dropped again. I believe it was in the 6th round. I think it was the 6th round. And then he was, no, sorry, he was dropped in the 7th round. That's when the fight ended. Was he dropped again in the 6th? Yeah, he was. Sorry, he was dropped again in the 6th. I believe it was, he didn't actually touch down with his gloves, but he kind of went down on his knee, kind of crouched down, and the referee called it a knockdown in the corner. Then in the 7th round, he finally went down and stayed down. It was actually a jab to the body. Yeah, that's how hard Kovalev hits. He hit him with a jab to the body, and the guy couldn't even get up from that shot. Kovalev is, you can just tell from watching him and from hearing the sound of the shots go in on Kovalev, he is an incredibly heavy-handed fighter. It's like every shot from this guy is a hard shot with a lot of big punches. For example, Adonis Stevenson. Not every shot is a hard shot from Stevenson. Stevenson mixes it up. Some softer shots, some harder shots. And with Stevenson, it's really only that left hand that he has devastating punching power in. He does have a decent right hand, which he doesn't use that much these days. A right hook, which he throws up close. But you don't really see that much nowadays. But with Stevenson, he mixes up the power in the left hand and occasionally throws it hard, occasionally throws it a bit softer. But with Kovalev, it's like every shot is a devastating shot. And I was almost like wincing for Agnew when them shots were coming in from Kovalev, because every shot was a hard shot. They were cracking him in the side of the arms and in the gloves and in the body, and tremendously punishing shots. And he just broke Agnew down systematically over a number of rounds. And eventually, Agnew just couldn't take no more. Agnew obviously had the plan in his head that he was going to try and weather the storm and take Kovalev into the later rounds. But in doing that, he was shipping way too much punishment and not keeping Kovalev honest enough. Again, in the early rounds, he did land some counters here and there, which did seem to back Kovalev off just a little bit. It made him a little bit more cautious coming in. But as the rounds progressed, especially after the knockdowns, Agnew was throwing less and less, and it started looking like Canelo versus Angulo, in terms of the fact that Kovalev was the only one throwing punches for most of the round, and Agnew just had his hands up, covering himself, looking for opportunities to counter and hoping to draw some energy out of Sergey Kovalev and hope that he blows himself out. But it didn't happen. He took too much punishment, and like I say, in the end, Kovalev just wore him down and took him out. Overall, I thought it was a solid, good performance by Kovalev. It was exciting. He was throwing big shots. Again, big credit to Agnew. He's a very brave young man. He definitely came to fight. He definitely came to win. He didn't come to lay down, and he put up a better effort than anyone has against Kovalev for quite some time. So hats off to Cedric Agnew, but still wasn't good enough. As for Sergey Kovalev, where he goes from here, again, I can't help but express my disappointment that Adonis Stevenson has chose to go in a different direction. And the more I see of Kovalev, the more I start to think that he really would knock out Adonis Stevenson. That's not a prediction, but I'm just giving you my overall feeling. It will definitely be a different kind of dynamic with a guy like Stevenson in there who does have a tremendous left hand when he lets it go. He might be able to back Kovalev off of it. Also, Stevenson definitely has longer arms than Kovalev. Kovalev seems to have a pretty decent length in his arms as well, but not like Stevenson. Stevenson's got crazy arm length, and he keeps people on the end of his punches by intimidating them with that long left hand. Would he be able to do that to Kovalev? I don't know. It's a very interesting fight, but unfortunately, we're probably not going to see it in the foreseeable future. Very, very disappointed by that. But the more I see of Kovalev, the more I think, you know what? I think he'd just be a bit too much for Stevenson. I don't think that Stevenson, with just that left hand alone, I wouldn't be confident that he'd be able to keep Kovalev off. Eventually, Kovalev has to get through, and even if he hits you on the arms, in the body, he's gonna hurt you. So I don't know, man. Let me know what you felt about how you feel about Kovalev's performance. How do you think he would have done against Stevenson? I guess it's pretty much a moot point now because we ain't gonna see the fight. And again, I stand by my claim that I made in a video recently. I think Stevenson is avoiding Kovalev. I really believe that. People say that he's making a financial decision going to Showtime. Definitely, it's a financial decision on one hand, but at the same time, he could have fought Kovalev instead of fighting Fonfara. Yeah, he could have done that and then gone to Showtime after that. Because who is there on Showtime for him to fight at light heavyweight? Or even at super middleweight? Who is there? There's Hopkins and Shumanov, and then who? Whereas on HBO, there's Sergey Kovalev that he could have fought. There's Andre Ward potentially. You never know. Golovkin, Carl Froch, his countryman, Jean Pascal. I know they're good friends, but you never know what can happen in boxing. There was a number of different options for him on HBO. But on Showtime, who's he really going to fight other than Hopkins and Shumanov? So, me personally, I think it was Stevenson didn't want no part of Kovalev. That's just my personal opinion. It's not a fact, obviously. So, drop your comments below. Let me know how you feel. This is Hatman. I'm out.